Hey guys, and welcome back. In this section, I'm going to show you how to select and change colors in a gradient. Super cool, relatively easy technique. Just want to make sure you guys know how to do it. So let's go ahead and open up our image. We're going to double click here and we're going to go to intermediate coloring 4.jpg. There we go. And let's hit F4 full screen. So we have a bunch of different colors in this gradient. We've got these reds here. We kind of have an underlying color here. We've got orange. We've got the yellow, and then kind of going off into the blue. So what we're going to do is basically create different selections using different colors in this area, and then load those selections into a hue saturation adjustment layer, or multiple adjustment layers rather. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now I'm going to, right here on this layer, we're going to go to select and then down to color range. There we go. And we're going to start off, I'm just going to kind of go from the bottom and work our way up just a little bit. Now, the amount of fuzziness that you select is going to include more and more colors. So in this case, I don't want to include a ton of colors with each selection because I want to separate them out. So we're going to go right about 100 looks pretty good. So we'll just stick with 100 for the whole thing. So I'm going to start kind of here at the bottom. There we go. And we're going to work our way up. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So that's a selection. I'm going to hit hue saturation, and that's going to load that selection into the layer mask. Now, we're just going to kind of work our way up. So I've got this bottom. The next color I'm going to get is here. So let's go to select, down to color range. There we go. Let's make sure we get this one. And for my view here, you'll notice we have a few different options. We have the options to see this in grayscale. I can see it on a black matte, a white matte. There we go. Or a quick mask view. Really whatever's easiest, whatever like helps you see what you're doing. In this case, I actually kind of like the black matte view. I think it's helping out. Helping me see what I'm doing. So that's what we're going to stick with for now, but you can choose whatever works for you. All right, let's hit OK. I'm going to create a hue saturation adjustment layer, and we're going to continue going up. So each time you want to make sure you click on your background. Select color range. There we go. We're going to go with this nice orange here. There we are. So what we're doing is essentially dividing out each color. There we go. We're dividing out each color and giving it its own hue saturation adjustment layer. All right, so nothing incredibly complex here. Just a real cool technique because we'll be able to change all these colors individually. So you can just see we're kind of just working our way up. There we go. And it's definitely okay if there's a little bit of overlap. All right, and up here at the top, I'm going to bring my fuzziness up a little bit. So we're just going to kind of take care of all that up at the top with one color there. All right. Nope, it really is two colors, so never mind. I need to make sure I don't do that. Let's bring our fuzziness back up to 100. All right, we'll bring it up just a little bit. There we go. That's going to be its own hue saturation. Yeah, when you start looking at colors, it's like, wow, there's a lot of colors in there. There we go. We'll bring that up. All right, and let's plus that. There we go. That looks good. So that's going to get its own as well. So what we've done essentially is worked our way from the bottom of the image to the top, and we're loaded all that into hue saturation adjustment layer. So now we can color each of those individually, totally change the color of what's going on here, but it's still going to keep all the color, it's going to keep all the variation, which is really cool. All right, so let's jump in. Really easy to do here. Like all we have to do is let's just start here on the bottom, and we're just going to work by changing our hue. So let's start with going towards the green side. So I'm just going to start pulling all these, towards green to start with. There we go. And you know what? I'm going to click on this colorize button. I believe it's going to be a little bit better if we colorize these, because if we don't colorize all these, then they're going to change the hue of the colors that's underneath those. So let's go ahead and make sure we change these to colorize. There we go. And that should be a green as well. All right. And then once we have these all set to colorize, then we can kind of work our own way in. There we are. Work on your saturation a little bit. All right. Cool. I know it's a little bit on the tedious side, but basically what we were able to do is identify all these different variations. And now we can go in and change the color for these different variations to add even more complexity. See, like this, if you want to make this a little bit darker, you can do that. There we go. Make this guy a little bit darker too, a little bit more saturated. Perfect. Can be a little bit tough to like identify. You basically just got to turn these off and on and see like, okay, what's doing what? And if you wanted to, you could keep some red or anything like that under there as well. But the nice thing about doing this in layers is you have a lot more control than you would over, just doing this in one go. All right. Now, here we've kind of changed all these to green, or a variation of green, and that's totally one way to do it. You could also go ahead and just load in other colors in here as well. Like if I wanted to go from the blue, let's go from like a light saturated blue. I could go from blue to kind of teal. There we go. And kind of transition into a green. All right. Let's make this one a little bit darker. Cool. So now we have a blue kind of transitioning to a teal. So again, not really like a solid point here. It's not like the last example where we had a color or a camera that we were just changing the color of the camera, but I just wanted to show you guys how to separate out gradients. So this is like a painted gradient where we actually have brush strokes, which is why there's a lot of detail. But you can do the exact same thing if there's a smooth gradient and you want to change the colors of that gradient. Basically, you can just select different color ranges along that gradient and load them into a hue saturation adjustment layer. So super cool example, like a little bit more on the abstract side. Just want to make sure you guys understood that. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.